Hello, my name is Muhammad Qasim Bashir. I am here to give a presentation about the topic, which is identify an issue or conflict and how you would participate to change in a personally meaningful context. So the topic which I have chosen is resolving a nurse shift load conflict using emotional intelligence. So first of all, the issue identification. So the problem occurred in a big hospital ward where two night shifts nurse has to work on the same night, but it appeared that one of them had to get more patients and more complicated cases. This disparity caused dissatisfaction and anger. In the long run, there were more complaints. The overload was associated with an increased number of cases of documentation mistakes and slow response to patient needs. So, ward nurses reported imbalanced patient assignments during night shifts, and this overload led to frequent complaints, increased errors, and staff burnout. In a 2023 study by Glenis shows that 91.9% of nurses reported moderate to high levels of burnout, which was much higher than other healthcare workers, which was 79.9%. So this conflict threatened patient safety and nurse retention. Then the case for change. Burnout, low satisfaction, and risk to patient safety made changes urgent. Since the stress in healthcare is high, unresolved conflict in shift management is associated with serious negative implications like turnover among staff is costly and destabilizing. Burnout impairs mental health and reduces performance. Research shows that post COVID 19, nurses experience greater burnout compared to other health workers, and their job satisfaction is lower compared to other nurses. So, unequal shift load contributed to staff turnover and reduce morale, and opportunity to restore fairness, improve outcomes, and build stronger team dynamics. These are the causes for the change. Then how uh, I would personally engage to solve this conflict by using emotional intelligence framework, like which is self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. To manage this conflict, I relied on Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence framework, which comprises five domains. The first one is self awareness, the second one is self regulation, then motivation, empathy, and social skills. In healthcare context, research supports that higher is associated with better job performance and resilience. For instance, Hashmi in 2024 found that positively correlated with job performance and resilience along with better stress management. Also, in intensive care nurses, nursing training significantly reduced work family conflict in behavior and strains dimensions. Thus, these findings suggest that this is not theoretical but has measurable impact in healthcare settings. So, I will explain each steps one by one. First of all, applying self awareness. It recognized my own feelings of frustration and perceived unfairness, acknowledge possible bias, oversight rather than intention. Identify triggers before entering discussion about shift assignment. First, I learned how to self-aware. I observed that I became resentful when I realized the heavier shift loads and began to think that my colleagues were being preferred. I understood and I felt some of the way I felt because of long hours and exhaustion and perhaps unfinished information. Thinking on my biasness, maybe I did not realize all the limitations that were placed on management or on other staff. I was ready to avoid being defensive by understanding what causes my emotional reaction. For example, when I get a late notice or when I see other people leave, self-awareness is central to healthcare research. Then participate in self-regulation. Keep calm in meetings and avoid accusing language. The second step was to exercise self-regulation in controlling my expression. Rather than walking over and declaring in a scolding voice or instructing you to take the easy shifts, I would pre-plan my speech and wait until we were both in a quiet situation. I did not make blanket statements but talked about my experience. I feel overwhelmed when I have more patients as opposed to assigning blame. I also controlled impulses in hard situation when shift roster alteration arose. I took a moment to react. I took a moment to react and according to Kadovic, emotional regulation can be used to minimize conflict escalation and enhance communication, particularly in stressful healthcare settings. Maintaining a stable emotional level contributed to remaining within a safe range of discussion instead of making people feel defensive. Then, the motivation in the process. Motivation was the key. It was not my goal to make a point, but to promote patient safety, fairness, and cohesive teamwork. I kept in my mind that the conflict resolution would help everyone, like staff will sleep better and make fewer mistakes, and the care will be better. Studies done by EL training in ICU nurses indicates that work-family conflict is reduced and job satisfaction is enhanced by motivation based on shared goals. My intention was positive by focusing on group rather than personal vindication. This was useful in the communication process as I tried to highlight common ground of what matters. The quality of care, fairness, patient instead of discussing what an individual was doing wrong. This also inspired my co-worker as soon as he or she understood that this was not a competition between us but a common aim. Then the fourth step I used that using empathy. Listen to colleagues' constraints like personal life and other stealth shifts. Compassion was very important. I took my time to listen to my colleague that they were taking up extra work due to staff shortages, doing family duties and occasionally getting last minute changes directly. I put those strengths to the test and admitted I knew how difficult it must be for them in their shift pattern. Having their stress validated also served to decrease defensiveness. In nursing, conflict management style that imply the use of integrating styles were more common among nurses with higher emotional intelligence. Therefore, empathy aids in converting the hostile conflicts into collective problem solving. Then, an important step would be social skills and outcomes. Co-created revised shift schedule together with leadership. With powerful social skills, I offered to collaborate with the nurse manager and others to co-design a new shift assignment policy. We developed a transparent system using with a balanced number of patients, complexity of cases, rest times, and individual limits. We established frequent check-ins to the aspect of fairness and systems of assigning revision. Upon its implementation, employees felt more content and heard, and there were fewer delays in patient care and fewer overload-related errors. And in conclusion, I would say that emotional intelligence resolved shift load conflict in healthcare. All five EI domains were essential to success and it contributes to fairness, reduced burnout, and improved safety and retention. With excellent social skills, I suggested collaborating with the nurse manager and peers to co design a new shift assignment policy. We designed an open system with a number of patients, care complexity, rest periods, and individual limitation. To secure equity, we established periodic check-in procedures and systems of reassignment. Following this, employees expressed increased satisfaction and a sense of being listened to. Patient care delays decreased and the number of incidents related to the overload decreased. Also, the turnover was reduced in the subsequent quarter. These results are consistent with the literature that this is positively associated with job performance and stress resilience among medical professionals. Thank you very much. That was all from my side. Thank you.